Breaking news. The Pittsburgh Steelers have done it. This morning in Dublin, they defeated the Minnesota Vikings with a final score of 24-21. On paper, it looks like a close game. But the truth is, the Steelers controlled this matchup from start to finish. This was, without question, their most complete performance of the season. Offense, defense, execution, it all came together. And here's the best part for Steelers fans. Week by week, this team is only getting stronger. Before we dive deeper into the details of this game, make sure you subscribe to the channel, hit that like button, and don't forget to press the bell icon. That way, you'll always be the first to hear about the latest breaking NFL news and post-game reactions. Now, let's get back to today's story. The Steelers dominated on the ground. With Jalen Warren out, Kenneth Gainwell stepped up in a huge way, nearly 100 yards rushing on 19 carries and scoring 2 touchdowns. That's right, 2 big scores that set the tone early. And then came the fireworks through the air. DK Metcalf lit up the first half with 5 catches for 126 yards, including an incredible 80-yard touchdown from Rodgers. That play was a beauty, precision route running, perfect timing, and a strike that will be remembered all season. Speaking of Rodgers, the veteran delivered another efficient outing. He went 18 of 22 for 200 yards and a touchdown. Calm, sharp, and reliable. Exactly what the Steelers brought him in for. On defense, Pittsburgh kept Carson Wentz and the Vikings offense under control for most of the game. Yes, Minnesota managed 2 late touchdowns when the Steelers went into a softer coverage. But when it mattered most, Pittsburgh's defense made the critical stop. And that stop sealed the victory. Now, one concern coming out of this game. Wide receiver Calvin Austin III left with a shoulder injury. After the game, he reassured fans with a message, "Great dub in Dublin. I'm all good, Steelers Nation. Appreciate the messages and concerns." That's encouraging, but we'll still have to wait and see how serious it is. From the early signs, it doesn't appear to be anything season-ending, but he could miss some time depending on the evaluation. With Calvin Austin sidelined, the big question now is, who steps up for the Steelers at wide receiver? Rookie Roman Wilson barely saw the field, just 3 snaps the entire game. Instead, it was Scotty Miller who filled in once Austin went down. That alone tells us something important. Right now, this coaching staff may not fully trust Wilson to handle a bigger role. So what's the plan? Could it be Miller? Could it be Isaiah Hodgins, the practice squad addition from a couple of weeks ago? Or do the Steelers need to look outside the building for help? The possibility of signing a new receiver is very real, and if that happens, it likely means Austin's absence could stretch beyond just a week or 2. Now, let's talk about the names floating around. Deontay Johnson is the most obvious one. He knows Pittsburgh, he knows the playbook, and he's still one of the best route runners available. But the question is chemistry. Remember, the Steelers moved on from him because of locker room issues. The difference this time is that DK Metcalf has emerged as the leader of this receiving group. With his influence, maybe Johnson could fit in as a true number 2 without disrupting the room. Another name to watch. Odell Beckham Jr. OBJ has spoken before about his interest in playing with Rodgers, and that connection can't be ignored. Nelson Agholor, DJ Chark, and even a reunion with Robert Woods are also on the radar. Woods, in particular, makes sense. He already has timing with Rodgers from preseason work, and he knows how to fit into this system without needing months to adjust. On the injury front, there's some relief for Pittsburgh. Brandon Echols left the game late, but reports confirm it was just cramping in his calves, nothing serious. He should be ready to go after the bye. The more concerning note is on Jalen Ramsey. He kept coming in and out of the game with hamstring tightness. He managed to finish, which is a positive sign, but hamstrings are tricky. That's definitely something the Steelers will monitor closely. For Steelers fans, the encouraging sign is that Jalen Ramsey was able to finish the game despite that hamstring tightness. Now the question is whether he can recover in time for the Week 6 matchup against the Cleveland Browns. If there's ever a game to miss, it might be that one. The Browns' offense has struggled, and Pittsburgh might be able to manage without him. But by Week 7 against the Bengals, or at the very latest, Week 8 under the lights on Sunday Night Football versus Green Bay, the team needs Ramsey healthy and ready to go. Now, let's shift to something every fan loves, the game balls and key takeaways from Week 4. And honestly, this week I have more game balls to hand out than takeaways. That tells you just how well Pittsburgh played. The first game ball has to go to DK Metcalf. This is exactly why the Steelers invested so heavily in him. 5 catches, 124 yards, and a jaw-dropping touchdown reception. That's the standard for a wide receiver of his caliber, and when he's in rhythm like this, it changes the entire outlook of the offense. What stood out most is how the Steelers used him. The big plays came on crossing routes, dig routes, and shallow crosses. Simple, but devastatingly effective when you put the ball in Metcalf's hands and let him work in space. It's a reminder, the more Pittsburgh schemes touches for him in these situations, the harder it becomes for defenses to contain this offense. Watching DK Metcalf today, you couldn't help but think back to A.J. Brown in Tennessee. Those slants, those digs, those routes across the middle that turned into game-breaking plays. That's exactly what Metcalf gave the Steelers in Dublin. All week long, critics were saying this offense doesn't use the middle of the field enough. Well, today they proved otherwise. Metcalf lined up in the slot, worked the crossing routes, attacked on the digs, and the results were explosive. He averaged an incredible 25 yards per catch, added another touchdown, his third of the season, and even won a tough 50-50 ball along the way. That's what a number one receiver does. He changes games. But Metcalf wasn't the only story. With Jalen Warren inactive, the spotlight shifted to Kenneth Gainwell. And wow, did he deliver? Nearly 100 yards on the ground, running hard, running with purpose, and showing exactly why depth matters in this league. A lot of fans counted the Steelers out before kickoff, thinking they couldn't win without Warren. Gainwell answered those doubts in a big way. Credit also goes to the guys up front. The offensive line was physical, they were disciplined, and they owned the line of scrimmage. Darnell Washington deserves special mention too. His run blocking was a game changer. Teammates even admitted after the game that many of the big gains came when they ran behind Washington. And when a tight end can move defenders the way he does, and still contribute with catches in the passing game, you know you've got a weapon that needs to be used more often. Altogether, the line and Washington set the tone. They opened lanes, they gave Gainwell room to shine, and they reminded everyone what Pittsburgh football is supposed to look like. Tough, physical, and relentless. Now let's flip it over to the defense, because this unit deserves its share of game balls. First up, Keanu Benton. He's taken some criticism this season, but today he looked like a difference maker. Benton was disruptive from the first snap. He shot gaps, collapsed the pocket, and made Carson Wentz deeply uncomfortable. By the end of the game, he had a sack and a half, 3 quarterback hits, and constant pressure right up the middle. Every quarterback dreads seeing that flash of color in their face before they even get through their first read, and Benton gave Wentz that nightmare all day long. But the pressure didn't just come from the inside. On the edge, Nick Herbig was a force of nature. Filling in for the injured Alex Highsmith, Herbig looked like a starter, plain and simple. 3 quarterback hits, relentless pressure, and several plays that had Wentz scrambling for answers. He even went toe-to-toe with one of the league's best left tackles, Christian Darrisaw, and flat-out won those battles. Herbig's speed rush is lethal, and the Steelers need to find ways to keep him on the field even when Highsmith returns. And then there's Peyton Wilson. Let's be honest, his first couple of weeks weren't great. But today was a statement. Wilson was everywhere, finishing with 13 tackles and making plays both in the backfield and downfield. The highlight came late in the game on what could have been a back-breaking blown coverage. Wilson didn't give up on the play. He chased it down, stopped the receiver at the 1-yard line, and forced the Vikings to burn more time. That single effort might have saved the win. Wilson is a high-risk, high-reward player. Sometimes that aggressiveness can hurt you. But when it's clicking, it looks brilliant. And against Minnesota, he was right far more often than he was wrong. A true bounce-back performance. Back on defense, one of the brightest moments was the return of Deshaun Elliott. You could instantly feel his presence. He wasn't just back on the field. He was making plays that shifted the game's momentum. 2 big pass breakups for solid tackles and an interception that sent a clear message. The Steelers missed this guy. And with him back, the secondary looked sharper, faster, and tougher. It was almost like the defense had its heartbeat restored. Now, let's talk about the overall picture. The Steelers played so well today that not even shaky game management could derail them. Normally, we'd be pulling our hair out over some of those decisions, like kicking a field goal up 10 when you're on the 2-yard line, or burning a timeout before an onside kick. Those choices could have spelled disaster. But the players were simply too good, too locked in, to let that slip away. And on the other side of the ball, Aaron Rodgers quietly kept proving why he's still one of the smartest quarterbacks in football. He wasn't throwing it all over the yard, just 22 attempts, but every throw had purpose. He protected the ball, managed the offense, and when the red zone moments came, he delivered. That strike over the middle to DK Metcalf? Perfect timing, perfect touch. Once DK caught it in stride, it was game over. Nobody was catching him. Later, Rodgers set up another score with a sharp pass to Calvin Austin III, who turned on the burners with a key block ahead. Rodgers didn't need flashy stats today. He needed to be efficient, steady, and sharp, and that's exactly what he was. Right now, he's giving this team everything they need to keep stacking wins. Aaron Rodgers may not be the kind of quarterback who pulls magic out of thin air like Patrick Mahomes, Josh Allen, or Lamar Jackson. But here's what makes him dangerous. When the opportunity is there, he never wastes it. Give him a window, and he'll execute with precision. That reliability has been a breath of fresh air for Pittsburgh, especially after the struggles at quarterback over the last several seasons. On defense, the Steelers once again leaned on their bend but don't break style, and for the past couple of weeks, it's worked. The idea was simple. Limit explosive plays, force Carson Wentz to take the long, methodical path, and wait for mistakes. Sure, Wentz racked up over 350 passing yards, but when it mattered most, the Steelers slammed the door. Multiple sacks, 2 interceptions, and nearly another forced turnover. The defense made him uncomfortable all day. Now, this style may not hold up as well against quarterbacks like Lamar Jackson or Josh Allen, who thrive under pressure and make fewer mistakes. But right now, there's no denying one fact. This defense is the best in football at creating turnovers, and that's their superpower. Switching to the offensive line, there's some concern. Isaac Sumalo, the veteran who's supposed to anchor the unit, struggled again. 2 quick pressures on his side turned directly into sacks on Rodgers. For a player expected to set the standard, that's not good enough. If the Steelers are going to keep this offense rolling, he has to stabilize and start playing like the experienced leader he's meant to be. And finally, let's address something that stood out: the lack of trust in Roman Wilson. When Calvin Austin III left the game injured, you'd expect Wilson to step up. Instead, the team turned to Scotty Miller, leaving Wilson on the field for just 3 snaps the entire game. That says a lot. Right now, the coaches simply don't trust him in critical situations, and that's a storyline worth keeping an eye on moving forward. It's going to be interesting to see if the Steelers look to add another wide receiver down the road. Whether it's bringing back a familiar face or making a bold move for new talent, one thing feels certain. The answer at WR2 doesn't seem to be Roman Wilson right now. But stepping back, this was a well-played football game. The Steelers own the trenches on both sides of the ball, and that's usually where the story is written. Of course, the Vikings came in with a banged-up offensive line, so part of the pass rush dominance was expected. Still, you play the team in front of you, and Pittsburgh did exactly what good teams are supposed to do: take care of business. The offense deserves credit too. Against a mostly healthy Vikings defense, the Steelers put together a balanced attack. The run game had rhythm, the passing game complemented it beautifully, and Arthur Smith's play calling tied it all together. This wasn't about one star carrying the load. Without Jalen Warren, the unit still clicked, proving they can be more than just a one-man show. Sure, it wasn't flawless. Late in the game, the door cracked open for Minnesota to sneak back in. But when it mattered most, the defense held firm. That's the mark of growth, learning to close out games even when things get shaky. And here's the bigger picture. This team feels like the opposite of last year's Steelers. Instead of fading as the season goes on, they look like a group that will keep building, getting sharper and stronger week by week. With guys like Joey Porter Jr., Alex Highsmith, and others getting healthy again, this defense could become something truly special. So enjoy this one, Steelers fans. A 3-1 start, momentum building, and a team that looks like it's finally moving in the right direction. The foundation is there. Now it's about stacking performances and proving that this isn't just a good stretch. It's the start of something bigger.